Idaho Matters podcast is brought to you by St. Luke's On Demand Virtual Care, which allows patients to see a provider from their home using a computer or smartphone with on demand care for common ailments such as a cough, sore throat, or a sinus issue. More information at stlukesonline.org.
At Boise State Public Radio, storytelling is at the heart of what we do, and on Instagram, we get to share even more with you. From breaking news updates and deeper dives into local issues to behind-the-scenes reels, it's where our community comes together. Be part of it by following Boise State Public Radio on Instagram and see the stories unfold.
From the studios of Boise State Public Radio News, I'm Gemma Gaudette. This is Idaho Matters. Our next guest is a best-selling author known for weaving heartwarming stories that are filled with hope and resilience and sometimes just a touch of magic. Rachel Linden joins us today to talk about her brand new novel, The Secret of Orange Blossom Cake. It's a story that blends love and family as well as second chances, and it is all set against a backdrop as rich and as flavorful as the title suggests. Rachel, it's really nice to have you on the show. Welcome.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much, Gemma, for having me. It is delightful to be with you this morning.
So my first question is, what first inspired you to write this new novel?
Okay, I'm going to be honest, Gemma. I figured out a book or two ago that if I wrote a book set somewhere I wanted to travel, I got to travel there and do research. And research for my books is basically wandering around eating delicious things. And I hadn't been to Italy in a long time. And my dad's family is from northern Italy, and I just thought, let's set a book in Italy, and it kind of went from there. So partly it was just a selfish desire to eat a lot of gelato.
I don't think that's selfish at all. If I could write a book, I would set it in Italy as well. So for folks who don't know about the book, give us, give us the outline of it and a little bit of what it's about. I mean, we do know that it's set in Italy, and we should say it's set like in the lakes region, so up north.
Yes. Yeah, it's set on Italy's largest lake on an olive farm on Lake Garda. So, The Secret of Orange Blossom Cake is the story of Jules, who's a social media chef with her own vintage recipe cooking show. But when personal and professional disaster strike, she returns to her family's ancestral olive farm on Lake Garda in Italy to try to save her career. And things go quickly awry, and that's when the fun begins. So, really, at its heart, this is a story about three generations of women, strong women, a magical cookbook, and a lost recipe that can show you the happiest moment of your life. And there's a handsome olive farmer next door who just happens to be the boy who broke Jules' heart when they were 16.
Mm. So the significance of the orange blossom cake, talk to us about that because it plays, I think, almost like another character in the book.
Yes, it does. And I love to do that with food and magical realism, kind of marrying those two. So they are a vehicle for personal growth for the main character. So the orange blossom cake recipe, Jules goes back to Italy to use her family's book of recipes to finish her own cookbook in a very short amount of time. And she doesn't realize that the cookbook is magical. It only gives you one recipe at a time. It gives you the recipe that it knows you need to do whatever you
Mm-hmm.
need to do in life. And so when she opens the recipe book, it's blank. And when her Nana Bruna opens the recipe book, it shows half a recipe for orange blossom cake. And so there's a whole 60-year-old family mystery surrounding this in about this lost recipe for orange blossom cake that can show you the happiest moment of your life if you make this cake and eat the first bite. And so this is really, at its heart, this is a story about not letting fear and grief keep you from the things that you love that most matter in life. But it's
Mm.
also about food, it's about family, it's about second chance romance. It's got and of course Italy and gelato.
So you mentioned you have family connections in Italy. So I'm kind of curious, did you look into any of your own family traditions or personal experiences when you were creating this story?
That was kind of fun to do. So I have still relatives in northern Italy, and we visited them a number of years ago, and it was wonderful to reconnect with those parts that I hadn't known before. So walking into the little tiny
Mm-hmm.
village where my great grandparents had lived, seeing the church where they'd gotten married, sitting in my great aunt's living room and having local wine and local appetizers. And so I drew on those experiences and drew on just how much, when I set foot in Italy, there's a deep sense of relief, a sort of a sigh of contentment that I give every time because there's something that feels like returning to some sort of heart home. And so I wanted to capture that in the book. So it isn't quite so much about family traditions as it is a sense of place and a sense of community and a
Mm.
sense of belonging that I really wanted to capture.
Well, and I feel like you can feel that in the book when you're reading it. I mean, as I said, I mean, not only does the cake kind of play a character in the book, I mean, I think also just the setting of it, right, is also such a character in the book. And did you go into it writing it thinking like, I really want people to feel this sense of place?
Yes, and that's one of the main themes of all of my books. So I will always give readers a happy, hopeful ending, some magical realism, food, travel, second chances at love, and strong women facing big circumstances in life and learning to overcome with courage and connection. So sense of place, sense of home, sense of purpose, sense of belonging, those are all things that I explore in every one of my novels. And I loved getting to do this in such a rich, evocative, wonderful setting that I really think sparks our collective imagination because everybody loves Italy. Everybody wants to go hang out on an olive farm in Italy. And so to get to do that with Jules in this story just gives it that extra special kind of spice.
What did you have a particular character that was maybe especially fun or on the flip side, more challenging to write in this novel?
Oh, that's a fun question. I love writing these kind of sassy, salty older women who act as
Mm-hmm.
guides. I really enjoy. I grew up with my grandmother in my home, and she was one of my very favorite friends, one of my best friends. She passed away a few years ago at the age of 93, and she and I just enjoyed a really special relationship. I have a deep fondness and reverence for her. And so I love to put in intergenerational stories, family stories, connections of aunts, great aunts, moms, granddaughters, that kind of thing. And so with this one, it's Jules' Nonna Bruna, who's this little tiny, like not even 5 foot tall spitfire of an 80-year-old
Mm-hmm.
Italian woman who rules the roost and has a lot of wisdom and a lot of swearing in Italian. So she was so much fun to write.
Okay, can we just dive a little bit deeper into these older female characters because it feels in a lot of ways in our culture in particular like we start erasing older women, whereas I look at these older women and I'm like they're the ones with all the wisdom, they're the ones with all the answers, and we all need to be paying a bit more attention, right? So do you feel that when you're writing it? I mean, because I think in your writing, I'm like, oh, these are such just great, simple lessons. And it's because these women have lived these incredible lives.
Yes, absolutely. I think you're hitting that right on the head that we kind of idolize youth. And so a lot of stories
Mm-hmm.
get stuck with protagonists in their 30s, but we are hungry for stories that show us what's ahead. I'm 43 and I'm looking ahead and thinking, okay, where are the stories that are now showing me what's to come? How do we live? I know how to live
Mm-hmm.
a good life in my 30s. I already did that. Marriage, kids, all the ways, career, the various things that we explore in our 30s, or singleness or travel, whatever you do in your 30s, but what happens in your 50s? What happens in your 60s? And there is that tremendous amount of life experience and wisdom. And you're right, we do kind of erase those older women and those older voices. And that's particularly, I think, an American thing because that doesn't happen in a lot of
Mm-hmm.
other cultures. There's a deep reverence. I've lived in some other places. There's a deep reverence for the wisdom of older people. So I love to write these older characters that are showing that they're full-fleshed people. They're not just sitting around in rocking chairs. They're having romances. They're finding second chances themselves. They're finding a sense of purpose and identity in their golden years, and then looking at the wisdom and the connections that they make with younger generations and how those interplay. I love that. I think there's a real richness there and a real value for us as we move through our own lives.
No, I couldn't have said it better myself. And I think another big role in many of your books is food. I mean, we have to look at the title of this book
Oh
to
yeah.
know that. But why do
Yep.
you think food resonates so strongly with people and with readers?
Well, okay, first of all, we all eat a lot every day to
Yep.
stay alive, but also culturally, I mean, across every culture, food is a way to bring people together. We come together over a table, we celebrate things. You have baptisms, weddings, and funerals that all involve food. Like, food is a way that we kind of mark and bring people in community for everyday everyday events and these big events in life. And so food, I think, is a unifier. Nobody is like, well, I don't really care about food. I don't like eating whatever. I
Yeah.
don't like to read descriptions of delicious food. I mean, maybe somebody is, but I haven't met them. So I think, I grew up, I get asked a lot, do you have a culinary background? Are you trained? I'm not. I grew up in an Italian family in the Midwest where everything happened in the kitchen or around the table. So when I started writing books, I just naturally put in what I loved. And I love food and feeding people I love, the connections around food. And about 2 books in, my editor called me and she's like, okay, I get so hungry reading your books. I have to have an entire drawer of snacks on hand when you turn in a manuscript. This is obviously a thing for you. It's a theme. So just lean into it. More food, more magic. That's what she told me. And I was like, done. I can do that. So I so enjoy it because I love to use food as a way to mark celebration, growth,
Yeah.
connection, family, community, all those wonderful things.
Well, it's so interesting too because I grew up in a very big Catholic family, and I'm one of 10 kids, and everything was these big holidays, right? It was like, and my mom just cooked all of the time, and there was just always so much food when you talk about these milestones, and and then I have very specific memories related to food, right? And it takes me right back to my childhood. And I'm curious to know if you have a certain food memory that connects you to this particular book.
Oh, that's such a fun question. Gosh, you have such fun questions, Gemma. Yeah, so I have a great uncle Gino, who is this hulking Italian like steel worker. And at family gatherings, he had a little tiny pizzelle maker. It's a northern Italian cookie that's really crisp, almost like it's just like a little batter, almost like a crisp little crepe. And they're
Hmm.
anise flavored, and it's a little, almost like this little tiny waffle maker with a beautiful pattern in it. And I remember him sitting on a stool at family reunions, pouring these little ladlefuls of batter into his little pizzelle maker and making these stacks of pizzelles that we would all be running around eating. And so when I think of kind of Italian family, food, togetherness, I just have this picture of my great uncle Gino, this hulking white-haired man crouched over this little tiny pizzelle maker making cookies for all of us. And that was something that tied us to, the heritage, for the
Hmm.
Italian heritage that they had all come from.
What are you hoping that readers take away from this newest book?
Mm. I write every one of my books with a little nugget that I hope people take away and put in their pocket for their own lives. And so when I set out, I think, okay, what is this nugget? What is so true and important to me and precious to me that I want to share it with readers? And for this one, Jules is really stuck in grief over tremendous
Hmm.
loss from her past, and she's afraid to really risk because she doesn't want to lose again. So grief is holding her back, loss is holding her back, and fear is holding her back. And the nugget from this story, what I hope readers take away is that we can't let fear of grief and loss stop us from embracing the right hard things in life. Life is hard, and we have to have courage to embrace and risk for the things that we find most valuable.
I love that so much. Thank you so much for taking time to talk with us today. I really appreciate the conversation.
Oh, well, thank you for your insightful questions. This has been delightful.
Oh, I'm so glad. We've been talking with author Rachel Linden about her newest novel, The Secret of Orange Blossom Cake. It is out now. Such a timely book to read. So grab a copy for yourself. I'm Gemma Gaudette, and this is Idaho Matters.
Sources and methods, the crown jewels of the intelligence community. Shorthand for how do we know what's real? Who told us? If you have those answers, you're on the inside, and NPR wants to bring you there. From the Pentagon to the State Department to spy agencies, listen to understand what's really happening and what it means for you. Sources and Methods, the new national security podcast from NPR.